welcome to my kitchen. Today we're going to talk about ginger shots. I'm not going to spend a lot of time talking about each individual ingredients in a ginger shot, because you could do your own research on that. Right now you just have to trust me on this one, and I do know that the people that use and take these ginger shots on a regular call it liquid gold, and society's getting caught up with it because it's great for inflammation, mucus, joint pain, so many things. But they're really starting to understand how it works. So with that, of course, the price of them go up. I think I heard that they're selling a small shot size, if you want it fresh, for about $6. So I'm going to teach you how to make it in your own kitchen. Okay, so there are many ways to make this. You do not have to do it any particular way, but I'm going to give you the basics. Now, when I make this, I change the recipe when I'm doubling the recipe, tripling the recipe. But today, we're going to keep it simple, and I'm just going to make a basic recipe. Probably last me about a week. And we'll get into all of that. And also, we are going to do it prepare these ginger shots in the most simplistic way possible with as least tools as possible. And I'm going to tell you my way and why I like to do it this way. So let's begin. Well, first you're going to need at least about 6 lemons, 2 oranges. Now remember, double, triple this recipe for more. And they say about 5 or 6 pieces of ginger. I like to go hard on the ginger because it is one of the greatest medicines in this recipe. So never do I follow a recipe. You guys will realize that. So what we're going to do right now, I just want to point out that these lemons, I wash, clean, do all the processes that you want to do and need to do to stay healthy. So these have already been washed and cleaned, and then I put them in like a spring water, purified water, and put the lid on them and put them in my refrigerator. They keep for a really long time. They keep a lot longer than they would if they were sitting on your counter or just in your refrige. Also the other great thing about keeping your lemons in fresh water is when you take these lemons out, you have this lemony fresh water. I use that for several different things. One, you can make an antibacterial spray for your kitchen out of it. You can mop your floors with it. It is great to use as an antibacterial. Don't just throw it out, okay? Okay, let's get started. The first thing I like to do is I like to go ahead and this has been washed, cleaned, and I like to cut up my ginger. And I like to get it ground up so that it can kind of soak in the purified water that I'm going to add to it. I like to give the ginger time to kind of soak, marinate in there, and we're just going to start there, and I'll give you more information on that. So basically, I like to use a blender for this. You could use a bullet. Whatever you're using, you know how small or how big you should chop it up. I have a Ninja, so I don't have to chop it up that much. Now, if I was a first timer and I was not familiar with ginger, something I would do is I would recommend 5 or 6 chunks, okay? Because my family is used to the ginger and we like the ginger, we're going to go ahead and do a whole big ginger. Matter of fact, I'm going to go ahead, because you can never use too much ginger. This is a powerful packed anti-inflammatory, healing, joint healing, all around make you feel good. It has a lot of different cures to it, healing to it. Can't say cures. It has a lot of different good benefits for the body. So let's just start with, okay. So we got our ginger in the blender, the bullet, the mixer. I don't care if you gotta chop it up, whatever you gotta do. And then we're just gonna soak it in some water. How much water? It really don't matter because you're gonna add water to this. So I have a lot of ginger in here, and I added a whole bottle of water. Here's the thing, the ingredients, you do not have to be exact. This is a add more if you like, add less if you don't like it. Okay, so we've added some water because we want it to kind of marinate in the water. We're gonna lock this down. And I need my glasses. Okay, turn it on. And okay, that's good enough for right now. And as you see, it has juice in here, and that's what you want. You want it to just kind of sit and marinate in those juices. Now, while that's happening, the next thing you can do is go ahead and use this. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to juice our lemons and our oranges separately. So one of the things I like to do with my lemons and my oranges is when you get them out, of course, you've seen it on TikTok, roll them, and we're going to cut them in half, right? I like to get all mine ready. So I'm just going to throw them in this bowl right here. So let's get the lemon out, roll it. So we're going to strain our lemons, squeeze our lemons. One of the things about this process is, don't worry about the seeds, they'll just go right in there. You can separate them and then throw the lemons back over here in your bowl. If you have another way of doing your lemons, you can do it any way you like. I have used a juicer, and I peel them and then use a juicer, which is extra work. But my family doesn't like any kind of texture in it. And I try to tell them that's part of the best part, but just getting them to do ginger shots is enough. And now we have our lemon juice, right? Lovely. Let's start on some oranges. You could go 2, 4, 6, 8, depending on what you're making. We're making a very small batch, so like a 1 week batch for someone. And so I'm going to use 6 lemons, 2 oranges. Same thing with your lemons, do with your oranges. Roll them around, get the juices ready to come out of there. And then cut them in half. Now sometimes my lemons are bigger, so I cut them. So now we have our ginger sitting grinded in its water base, maybe 1 or 2 cups, your choice, depending on how much ginger. I want 2 cups because I have quite a bit of ginger in there. And we have our lemons and our oranges squeezed. So now we're going to get some honey ready. And people always dispute how much honey to use. That is also up to you. But one of the things I want to point out is I like to use either local honey. Know where your honey's coming from. I also love these Manuka healing honeys, and that's what we're going to use today. And we're going to use, my glasses would be handy, Manuka Doctor. And this is a good one. This is also a good one. And I use a lot of this one in my tea in the morning. So the next thing I want to talk about is you want to put this in some warm water. I'm going to say about a half a cup of warm water. Now, if you got less, you go less water. But in the end, the water turns into part of the nutrition. So you want to use good water. So what that means is, and you want it warm, you don't get it out of the hot tap because that has all kinds of stuff because it runs through the water heater and everything. You don't heat it in your microwave. You just simply, you can heat it in a pot or in a kettle, and I choose to heat it in a kettle. So I'm gonna go half. And you want the water warm because you're adding medical honey. I'm gonna add about a tablespoon because we got a lot going on. And I'm just gonna let this kind of do its thing, break down in the water, get off the spoon, and I'm gonna set it to the side and I'll just stir it from time to time. Strain the lemon and orange juice. You could do it many different ways. Sometimes I use like a milk bag, and that does a really good strain. You get absolutely no pulp, crystal clear liquid. But I like to sneak a little bit in on my family, and they don't notice it if I just strain like this. Pretty much is good enough. Now, I like to keep my ginger pieces that are left over. I don't like to throw them out. You could do a couple things with them. You can dehydrate them. I have some here, dehydrated, and you can add it to your teas. It lasts forever. You have ginger in the winter time. Also, one of the main ways I keep it, I'm going to show you after we do it. We're going to actually do it. I'm taking my blade out, and I'm going to strain this ginger. Now know this, anything that you use with ginger is going to stain, for example. So you get it on your clothes, you put it in a plastic bowl, plastic anything. Sometimes it even tries to stain whatever it is that you're blending it up in. So food for thought there. Keep that in mind. My milk bag was not this color either. That's ginger. Now just press out all the ginger you can. Okay, I like to keep my ginger in a separate bowl after I strain it, because this could be used for many reasons. I put it in my freezer, and one of my favorite ways to use it is to make a poultice with it, which most people are like, what? And that is like a bandage. You put it in cloth, and it's frozen ginger chips. And you put it in cloth, and you put it maybe on an inflamed knee or elbow, or you can use it many different ways. And I like to put it in some flannel or some cotton cloth and put some plastic wrap around the outside of it so it doesn't get on anything. And just sit, maybe at your ankle, at your arm, at your shoulder, whatever's got inflammation, whatever's hurting, especially if it's a joint. Put it on there and just allow it to sit and do its magic. And you'll see. So we want all the ginger juice we can get. Let's make sure it's not too it. Now, see it? These are the chips, the flakes. These are still pieces of ginger. You could cook with this. It's frozen or dried. You can take a bath with this. You can put it in soaps. You can use it in all the ways that I've said. I keep it like this. You're going to freeze it. I also feed it to my chickens. My chickens love it. And that's the next thing we're going to talk about, the leftover ginger, is we're going to talk about the lemons and the oranges. What do you do with that? Well, there's many things you could do with that, and I'm going to tell you, this goes back in the freezer, ginger. I'm going to tell you what I do with them. As you see here, these are frozen. So they could be used, they could be broke down for many different things. One of the things I use them for is I have chickens. So I go out, especially on hot days, and I throw them these chicken and lemon pieces, and they devour them. So when you're done with your bowl, now you could compost these, you could make cleaning supplies out of these, you could do a lot of things with these. But that's what I do because my chickens love them so much. So if I could show you my garage freezer, it is packed with things like this. Now we're going to blend our ingredients together. And I am a very messy person when it comes to this, but we still got a couple more steps. So now we have our ginger and we have our lemon, both strained. Let's go ahead and just add them together. And as you see, I'm kind of working over a catch-it-all dish, hopefully. And then we had our honey in our warm water melting. Looks like it's mixed very well. Go ahead and pour that in there. Now, I like to use turmeric that is fresh root. Couldn't find it, so if you can't find it, this is your next option. But make sure you get the best quality you can get, okay? And this is just one that happened to be available. And of course, people are going to say, how much do I add? And once again, that's like the ginger. How much can you handle? How much do you want to put in there? I like to, because it will give it color. It's going to stay in. It's not something we're going to strain off. Now, if we were using fresh turmeric, we would have threw it in with the ginger, ground it up, same juice, same process. Most of the time, people are not able to get it, so I'm doing it with the powder. That was 1 teaspoon. Let's do a couple. I probably should have done a tablespoon, so I'm going to do 4. Because yes, we like a lot of turmeric in there for many reasons. And like I said, you can do your own research. So we're going to mix that up a little bit. And now we want to add cayenne pepper. Once again, this is going to be to your taste. I'm going to say when you first start out and you're new, do a little at a time. You can add more every time you make it, okay? And a little at a time is what you consider a little. Okay, but a little at a time is add more each time you make it. Get a little more stronger, because that cayenne pepper is good for many things. It is good for, matter of fact, watch this. There's just a little bit left in here. Yeah, that's how I do it. My family has gotten really immune to the cayenne in the shot. And the cayenne, along with black pepper, is what activates the turmeric. So not only that, it purifies the blood, it kills candida in the gut, it helps purify the bloodstream, it opens up your sinuses, it helps with your breathing. So yeah, get cayenne pepper in any way that you can. I actually grow it, dehydrate it, grind it, and put it in capsules and take it, especially if there's an infection, a bacteria. But anyway, here I am saying that I'm not going to do the research for you on that level on this video, but I can't help talking about cayenne pepper. Now, this is regular black pepper. You want to add some of that. I don't add as much of that, but you know, like cooking. How much pepper would you put in your soup when you're cooking that? You want to add that black pepper because that black pepper also activates the turmeric. So what we're going to do is we're also going to add some more water. Get the best water you can, okay? Tap water's fine, kind of, but I mean, I would go for something to get the best water you possibly can. What we might call it is alive water, water that is live, not been killed with a bunch of chemicals through cleansing. And I'm just going to add some water in here. Like I said, once again, it thins it out a little bit. It's not as thick for the family. And as you figured out, I measure nothing. Well, I do, but not on these things because you can't overdo it. And you're probably not going to underdo it because you're actually getting it in your system. All right, so here we are. Now, one of the things you have to do is you have to remember to stir this from time to time, especially if it's sitting. The same thing when you get your bottles out. You're going to shake them, okay? Because the heavier cinnamon, like the turmeric and things, is going to try to settle on the bottom. And you want to evenly distribute it to your jars or whatever you're going to do. And we're going to talk about that in just a minute. First, we should do a taste test before we package. And I'm going to do it. Now, you can make these as dark as light, like I said. The thing is, when people first take ginger, the first time they do a ginger shot, they are like, oh my, wow, you know, and they don't know what to say because it's a body reaction. But then after that, they're like, give me that shot. Okay, I want that. They crave it. They come after it. Now, I do about 2 ounces. Okay, your bottle is about 2 ounces. You could do more. You could do 2 ounces in the morning, 2 ounces in the afternoon, 2 ounces at night, depending on what you want to do. I say do as much as you can. So here we go. Cheers. Now, I'm not someone who could just chug it. My husband just shoots it. The longer you hold it in your mouth, the more you hear, the more you feel and sense the cayenne, but it has a consequential effect to it. Consequential, I can't even say that word. Anyway, it goes through your bloodstream, through your mouth, quickly. Now, this may seem difficult to drink, only because I can't swallow things very, very quickly. Now, on the bottom, your last shot here is going to be potent, so get ready. But I can already feel it opening up my lungs, coming down through my throat. It's just exactly what the body needs. Also, I recommend, they like you to do it on an empty stomach. If you can't do it on an empty stomach, do it anyway, okay? Don't not do it. But in the morning, to break fast, this is a good thing to do. Like, I like to do like a warm water that's alive, and I put a little bit of Celtic salt in it, which has tons of minerals, just a little pinch, and I drink that. You don't even taste the salt. Or sometimes I put that little pinch of salt in the tea in the morning that I'm drinking, a warm tea. And then after the warm tea, I will do my ginger shot. And then later on, I will break fast with something with a little more substance. Here we go. Not bad. Actually, pretty good. You notice I'm still stirring. So there's many ways you could do this. I'm going to start with probably the most expensive, which is not that expensive as you see, is with the bottles. I will see about linking these. They're on Amazon, but you want to make sure that you get safe plastic bottles because you're going to freeze them. And these bottles have little holes in them, and you only fill them to about right here because you got to give them a little space to freeze in, right? You don't want your lids blowing off. Also, when I get them out, I get them out of the freezer the night before and put them in the refrigerator. Do not attempt to drink them like this because they have the little holes in them. So we pour them into this. They should be pretty melted in the morning from being froze. I usually remove them I put them overnight. The night before, I put them in the refrigerator, and that morning I put them out on the counter, and within a few minutes we are able to pour our shot out and drink it. Then we rinse these out immediately so that they can be sanitized. Now, another way is you could freeze them as ice cubes. Very simple way. So basically you fill the ice tray and then you put it on a pan, you know, something like this. Put your ice trays on there and put it in the freezer. Let it freeze and then bust them out and put them in like a freezer bag, okay? Now you pull out 1 or 2 ice cubes depending on how big and how much you want to take. Like I said, you can't OD on these products. So like maybe 2 ice cubes in here, and I put it out on the counter. You might be doing something, blah, blah, blah. You come back, this is melted, it's ready to go. You can also sit this in your refrigerator, put your 2 ice cubes in it, let it melt a little bit, and then get it out in the morning. Makes it faster. You also can fill anything you have with these things. Now I've used my little chocolate circle kind of pad. I fill those up. They come out like little chips and they're really convenient for melting. You can use the ball freezer balls. I don't have a whole lot of luck with those. I love these little honeycomb ones, okay? But I find there are a lot of little ones. I like to go medium because, for example, little ones, you know, maybe starting out and you're just starting, but like these are too big. You can't, if you put them in a coffee mug maybe, but I find that they take longer to melt and they're big. But that's up to you, your choice. These work out just fine. They're thick enough, round enough. But honestly, my favorite is the jars. And then it would probably be the ice tray. And then next it would be this one. And if I had extra, I'd fill anything I had with it, okay? I also leave some in the refrigerator for the next couple of days. So I'm not gonna spend a whole lot of time showing you how I fill these bottles because I'm super messy. You could do several things. You can do it like this, or you can, well, let me break my own rules. Stir it. And I wanna show you something about filling, so to make sure that you get everything in it. I like to first off, we're gonna put it in a smaller thing to pour because it's easier to maneuver. You got your bottles, you take your lids off, your bottle, you put your funnel in your bottle, and you fill your bottle. And like I said, you don't want to fill it too much to the top. I think I'm good. Don't want to fill it too much to the top, so you got some space for when you freeze it. You put the lid on it, and then I like to keep it in a little thing like this in my freezer. Right? Most convenient. Now, if that's not what you're going to do, then fill your ice trays. And you can fill them any way that you choose, but I like to fill them half and then go back with what's on the bottom of the cup, because you're going to notice there's a lot of cinnamon, there's a lot of nutrition down there, and then go back and fill them. So kind of like a half-half, because you're gonna see that when you actually do them yourself. We've got a few of them poured here. And you just freeze them in the freezer. Pop them out. Put them in a Ziploc baggie or whatever you want. They usually do not freeze together. And then pop them in your cup and have a shot, a ginger shot of wellness. And trust me, you are going to feel different. And if you don't notice how you feel during taking these shots, if you stop taking them, that's when people usually notice. And then they're like, man, I didn't have a flare up. I didn't have a, I had energy. I was sleeping better. And as human beings, a lot of times when things are going fine, we're not paying a whole lot of attention to it. We're not worried about it. We're not dealing with it. But this is part of self-care on the physical level. We do a lot of self-care on the non-physical, on the emotional, but we have to give our bodies what it needs. And inflammation is a huge issue this year, this season especially. And I believe that if you cure the inflammation, that is going to help what is inflamed, what is taking all the attention and making your body react in a particular way, probably in a emergency kind of way, working hard kind of way, stressing out kind of way. When you give the body what it needs, it will do and perform as you need it to. Right? Okay. Well, everyone, I want you to be well until we meet again.